What if I were to tell you that the whole church plot this season is all just a smokescreen? Grab your seatbelts because there is a lot to unravel, and we won't want to leave until the very end. Hi everybody, I'm Monica. Welcome again to my channel, Sister Wives Underground. Let's get right into it, because what we just saw was one of the most obviously staged moments we've had in a while. The entire ordeal seemed staged from the very beginning. Robin obviously coached her daughters to recite a scripted message, all the way up to her theatrical announcement. One of my biggest goals as a mother is to make sure my kids have a good relationship with God. But if that were true, wouldn't she have taken steps to find a church during all those years in Vegas or Flagstaff? Instead, we're supposed to believe she suddenly misses a religious connection that neither her husband nor anyone else in the family has shown interest in for years. It doesn't add up. What makes it worse is how easily her actions contradict her words. She talks about wanting her kids to know God, yet there's been no real evidence of that commitment. No church, no home worship, no spiritual practices, just more talk. There's no consistency, no kindness, no openness, just rehearsed lines meant to sell a version of herself that doesn't match what we've seen. And that insincere image carries over to her children, particularly Brianna, whose actions have tended to seem heartless. The absence of warmth in the family is clear, and this entire church scheme comes across as a clumsy exercise in image management instead of actual concern for religion. Now, here is where things get seriously weird. Aurora and Brianna are adults. They're college kids with active lives, but they're still being presented as requesting permission to go out or check out other churches. It's awkward, retrograde, and well more than a little creepy. Seeing them walk around Robin as if they're in high school just adds to the queasy dynamic. It's like a bad reality show spin-off of a gothic novel, and not in a good sense. The more you see, the more it appears that Robin and Cody are desperately attempting to manage how they're perceived. Each scene this season has that glossy, pre-produced feel, as if we're seeing a redemption tour for Robin, with emotional monologues and deliberate vulnerability. But with more than a decade of video behind us, most viewers aren't buying it. And let's discuss the next episode. The preview itself is painful to watch, young adults requesting permission just to have friends or go on dates. It's tragic, truly. The amount of control is disturbing. These are not children. Grown women treated as if they still need permission for simple life experiences. Then there is the greatest contradiction of them all, the family's so-called commitment to religion. Even with Robin always invoking God and church, they have not set foot in a traditional service for years. And this is in Arizona, of all places, where there are plenty of churches, particularly ones associated with their heritage. If church were important to them, they'd go, or at least have something at home like they used to. But they don't, and nobody speaks about why not. It's obvious that Robin's spiritual speech is just that, speech. Her behavior does not support it. These intense family discussions we witness on television are just further instances of her attempting to appear a certain way instead of living with authentic faith or integrity. The saddest thing is how unhappy her daughters appear to be. They're trapped-looking, uncomfortable, disconnected, and emotionally arrested. It's as if they're in a prescribed environment where everything they say and do is approved. The energy is thick, depressing, and utterly unrelatable. And can we just talk about the fashion for a minute? The girls look like they've been pillaging their granny's wardrobe. Those retro floral tops and rigid outfits don't shout young adult. They shout controlled and out of touch. It's just another level to the whole stuck in the past vibe. Even the home they reside in contributes to the atmosphere. It's dreary, somber, and lifeless. Everything within their world is drained of joy or spontaneity. And it's crazy, given that this family has lived under the watch of cameras for more than a decade. Robin's kids still are strangers to viewers, though. Why? Because they've been sheltered, concealed, and filtered, until now. Now that the rest of the family is moving away from the forefront, there's no option but to get behind Robin's narrative. And the outcome? Content that reads artificial, stilted, and achingly contrived. It's not about revealing reality, it's about manufacturing a new one. But for fans who have been along for the ride since the start, it's about as easy to call out the trickery as it is to recognize a clever facade. The whole episode was just one protracted sigh, scripted tears, fake smiles, and cringe-worthy dialogue that no one really wanted to have. It's not just boring to watch people be this unhappy for an hour, it's exhausting. For real, it's bordering on emotional abuse rather than entertainment. Now, let's get to something more interesting. The myth of Cody's favourite wife. We've heard it all before. First it was Christine, then Robin, depending on which way the wind was blowing. But after digging a little deeper, the truth is much more unflattering. Cody never really had a favourite wife, because his one true love has always been himself. Yes, the one constant priority in Cody's universe has always been Cody, his flowing mane, his mysterious pecs, whatever, and his constantly changing six-pack of flabs. He's had himself as his own top priority since day one. And the wives? They were all secondary cast in the Cody show. None were loved for themselves, only appreciated for what they could give. The favourite wasn't a name, it was whoever was easiest to live with that week. The wife who never challenged him. Number one on the list, the one who did everything he wanted without complaining. Queen of the day, instant. Mary, believe it or not, habitually took that role. She did her job well, providing loyalty, quiet, and that strange sense of solidarity Cody seemed to relish. Janelle, that was more like a roommate arrangement with the occasional booty call. They commiserated generally about their disdain for the others. Mary, again, was handled like the secret asset, the insider spy who'd give the inside scoop on the family dynamics. Christine, well, she became the difficult one, just for being brave enough to say how she felt. Cody couldn't deal with emotional needs, at least not when they needed actual effort on his part. And don't forget the notoriety of the showers. Cody was said to take 2.5-hour showers at Mary's residence. What exactly does one do during a shower that long? Was he scrubbing down to the bone? With Utah's water restrictions, the state could have issued him a ticket. Cody used to refer to Mary as his soulmate in his book. But once she suffered from infertility issues, she also seemed to lose her position in the pecking order. Every wife played a particular role, Mary for stability, Janelle for finances, Christine for emotional labour, and none of them were ever loved equally. Even their most intimate moments were transactional. Take the Christmas gift fiasco. Cody distributed gifts to all, except Mary. That's not a highlight, that's a message. And then there's Robin, the so-called basement wife, always plotting to remain on good terms with Cody. Her position at the top appeared solid for a time, but even she had to fight tooth and nail to stay there. This was not love, it was a competition, and nobody knew the game was rigged from the beginning. But wait, there's more. Everyone thinks Tony and Mike Kelty are just quirky and annoying, but there's a whole lot of more festering beneath the surface, and it's not adorable. Mike Kelty appears to be hell-bent on stirring the pot, whether it's needling Maddie, riling Christine, or both. And Tony? Don't even get me started. He has the energy of a man who's hell-bent on being the centre of attention without ever quite earning it. Watching those two together is like viewing chaos in a loop. Their entire energy is jarring, raucous, and utterly unnecessary. It's as if someone collected all the things I don't like about Cody and Christine and condensed them into one cringe-worthy, over-the-top pair. And somehow they did find one another. Really, it's a disaster that works, for them anyway. Look, I understand. They're married, happy, and good luck to them. But observing them is akin to observing a social experiment gone haywire. I dislike both of them intensely, and yes, this is the hill on which I am willing to die. My Kelty especially emits strong middle child vibes, like a person who was ignored for years and now is overdoing everything to make up for it. She probably got teased when she was younger and now she's intent on making sure no one forgets her this time. Loud, always. Annoying, often. Memorable. Unfortunately, yes. It's hard to even describe how cringe-inducing Tony and my Kelty have become. There's something about their dynamic that just grates. Maybe it's the forced humour. Maybe it's the way they constantly try to dominate every scene. But let's give them this. They do click in their own chaotic way. Like an overworked Tupperware set. The top won't fit, the bowl's cracked, but in a pinch you just throw it all together and pray it doesn't explode everywhere in your life. And that is Tony and my Kelty in a nutshell. Cluttered, mismatched, and yet somehow still working. Both of them sound lazy, immature, and woefully ill-prepared to be adults. And that's a legitimate question. When the drama runs out and nobody's watching anymore, what do? What's plan B? Do you recall how my Kelty used to rave about being a world-renowned fashion designer? Yeah, that ambition disappeared quicker than Robin's jewellery store. And Maddie. She wanted to be a lawyer or public defender. Fast forward to today. And here we are. Let's get real. The entire Brown family has a tendency to dream big, make big boasts, and never actually do anything about it. Jewelry lines, law school degrees, or visiting Ivy League universities such as Harvard, it was all too much like play acting and not actually trying to achieve something. Familiar? Definitely. But somebody eventually has to wake up. Now, back to our fame-hungry twosome. Tony and my Kelty are addicted to attention, even at the cost of being obnoxious or inappropriate. And someone should tell them to relax. Perhaps David? One can only hope, because Tony especially is a total issue. He never shuts up over my Kelty, takes over the conversations, and behaves as though he's the lead character in her life. There is something discomforting in the way my Kelty curls up around him, as if she has been conditioned to allow him to dominate, when it's obvious she is uneasy. Their entire relationship just has this odd little woman and big man in charge energy that is difficult to sit through. And you remember the wedding planning. Tony had a meltdown over chairs, and not only that, he demanded the best seat, pushed my Kelty out of the way, and was strangely territorial over tacos and beer. Sure, he's Mormon, but gosh, does that mean you get to dictate everything? My Kelty says she was the family's scapegoat, and I do have sympathy for that. But boy, she wears me out. Her requirement to constantly be joking, seeking attention, and being loud just comes across as bottled-up frustration waiting for an outlet. And that YouTube/Patreon channel, she's not going anywhere so long as money is in the mess. They're a sideshow together that managed to get their own spotlight somehow. Tony's annoying, but he's not stupid. He even insists that he's a professional chess player, which, okay, weird brag, but sure. Even so, seeing them is like rubbernecking a train collision. You want to turn away, but can't. Most of us skip their scenes, but let's be honest, their soap opera is still oddly compelling. Maddie isn't off the hook either. She acts like she's above it all, but she's knee-deep in MLMs and still clinging to the show for relevance. It's the same pattern with Janelle's kids. Big ideas, lots of talking, not much doing. And while my Kelty's status as a middle child might be debated, her need for constant attention isn't. Their wedding, an absolute disaster. They wanted to be grown-ups but behaved more like bratty teenagers. The entitlement, the drama, the outrageous demands, it was all present. Cody and Christine had nerves of steel if they were able to get through that planning process. My Kelty settling for Tony was like lowering the bar from on the rack to on the floor. So yeah, perhaps I don't understand why these two are still on our TVs, but I'm going to keep watching, because let's be real, this train wreck is strangely addictive. Let's discuss jealousy, polygamy, and a church outing that for some reason escalated into a full-fledged ego meltdown. So here's the tea. Robin mentions wanting to go to church again. Really mild, right? She even asks her daughters if they want to come along with her. But when she tells Cody, he suddenly needs to tag along too. Not for God, not for faith, but because he is afraid some man at church will steal her away. Yes, you heard correctly. Cody Brown, in all his delusional grandeur, believes church is essentially Tinder for polygamists. His own words. Other men might attempt to court Robin because she'd make a good wife, I mean. Come on. Robin, a hot commodity, please. What is actually going on here has nothing to do with faith, it has to do with control. Cody's attitude says it all. He considers women property. If he's not protecting Robin like an entourage, someone else will claim her. It's as if you're watching a man freak out because his prized collectible is left alone at Comic-Con. And let's talk about the church itself. If Cody truly believes this is a place where men are scouting for other men's wives, what does that say about the actual culture they came from? This isn't about spiritual growth, it's about matchmaking, ego, and territory. Robin's initial mission at church, to find Cody. That lightning bolt anecdote they always speak of? It wasn't sacred, it was desire and polygamist climbing the social ladder. And so, of course, Cody presumes others are playing the same game, because to him, church isn't holy, it's a dating pool with pews. So imagine this, what if Robin made a switch and became a part of a polyandrous family, several husbands, Cody among them? Visualize it. Cody Brown, one of many husbands, sitting in the back while another person kisses his queen. His head would blow up. Because competition, yeah, that's not his thing. Robin says she would like her daughters to get their scent out there. What's this? The Bachelor, Mormon edition? It's also transparently a premise, made to appear profound, but it's actually desperate programming. Let's be real, Cody needs attention. He has to feel that other men desire Robin, not because they do, but that he feels valued. His worth is directly correlated with hers. And it's disgusting. It's textbook misogyny masquerading as pseudo-faith and TLC troping. Of course, Robin plays right along. She knows how to manipulate Cody's strings, flirt, be helpless, and make him twirl around trying to guard her. She's not affronted by his distrust. She's amused. It's her move. And Cody's ego laps it up like scripture. Let's not forget this is the same guy who's pushed away most of his children and continues to play the victim. He's got a sad family life going on, but rather than concentrate on healing, he's too busy creating fantasies about Robin being a church magnet. In the end, church, with everything else with these two, isn't about faith. It's about control, about reputation, about sustaining their respective delusions and acting out a soap opera in spiritual lighting with cringeworthy pews. It's a polygamist fairy tale hot mess nobody ordered. So, yeah, I wonder what you guys think. Does Cody actually think men are waiting in line for Robin, or is it just part of his fantasy based on insecurity? Let me know in the comments. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that little bell icon so you never miss the next breakdown of this crazy ride. Until next time, stay safe, stay real, and much love to you all.